I don't know if you believe in visions or visits from people that have already passed, but I swear I had this out-of-body experience where my dad, who has passed, just played this movie in my head. Hi there, welcome back to episode number 2 of the Mind Your Boundaries podcast. My name is Jessica Miller, and today I am so excited because I'm going to share with you one of my most effective tools that I use with clients in helping them determine what boundaries they need. So by the end of today's episode, you're going to not only know what boundaries you need, you're also going to have this map, this huge idea of what I need in my life based on my values to boost my happiness. And you're going to be shocked at how simple it is, just simple changes throughout your day, and how much those simple changes greatly impact your mood. So if you're ready, let's get started. A little behind the scenes. I already recorded this episode. I recorded 1, 2, and 3, and then I went back to edit this episode, and I was fighting a bug. And so watching the playback to edit it, I'm just like, how can I add life, vitality, some like vibrance into me? Like, I was so dull. My color was dull, my tone was dull. And with this topic, I wanted you to feel my excitement because that's how powerful this exercise is and life-changing. And you don't really have to do a lot. And you're going to realize by the end of today that it's just the simple things that we can do in our day-to-day base or in our day-to-day actions and decision making that really make the greatest changes in terms of our mood, happiness, and feeling content with our life. And what supports these little changes and make sure that they stay there, boundaries. So let's get started. In the comments, remember, no passive podcast listeners here. I want you active. I want you to rate on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being it's super easy, 10 being super freaking hard. How difficult is it for you to figure out what boundaries you need? Have you been so disconnected with yourself that you really have no idea what you need right now? Are you giving so much of yourself to others that you really don't know where they end and you begin? So you'd be more closer to 10 if that's you. Or is it really easy? Are you really in tune with that gut instinct? Remember that internal boundary coach that blows its whistle as soon as that amygdala says like fight, flight, or freeze. And you have that, blows its whistle, and you're like, yep, it's a boundary. I need to have a boundary here. Maybe then you're closer to 1. I really want to know where you guys are falling in this spectrum so then I can create content that's really relatable to you. I've been doing this for almost 2 decades now, so sometimes I can forget some of the basic building blocks or the beginning stages of this, and this will help me better serve you. So 1 through 10, what are you? How difficult is it for you to identify what boundaries you need? And if it's really hard, trust me, by the end of today, you're going to be like, oh, it's a breeze. So today I'm going to take you through an exercise called Your Best Typical Tuesday. And in this exercise, you are going to see that throughout your ideal day, that you still have to go to work and do all the things are sprinkled in your day that bring you joy. And that's what makes you feel like you're living a good life, by having those things sprinkled in, like coffee before everyone gets up. So you have your morning coffee. Now we're getting into the season, so buy your Christmas tree. I may or may not have had that experience this morning on November 2nd because I am a freak about Christmas and it's already up. It might be having a walk at noon, like you just would love to do that, or hanging out with your family at night. There's going to be certain pockets of time sprinkled throughout your day, and in these pockets, they're going to fill your cup with joy, and that's what makes you feel like you're living a good life. It's not elaborate vacations. It's not having like the best job ever. It is these pockets of time, things throughout your day that make you feel joy, that truly make us feel like we're living a good life. In these pockets of time, what you're going to find is that tells me what your values are. And that will tell you, this is what I value right now. I value, a slow morning start. I value like getting out in nature midday. I value family time, like quality family time. This is going to show you that. And then because we do this exercise, you are going to see these are the boundaries I need to support my best typical Tuesday, or my best-ish life. These are the boundaries I need so that these things can be sprinkled in and not get blocked out by a lunch meeting, or having the kids get up at the same time as me, or running around to too many commitments at night and we don't get family night. That's what we're going to do today. Before we do that, I want to blow it up even bigger and share with you what happened to my husband and I once we asked ourselves this question, and what we did on a very big scale. So we took it a step further and downsized our life based on our best typical Tuesday. And that's why I am in this cozy house that we love on a very busy main street. And we chose to live here for a very specific reason. So it would be probably 10 years ago, my husband and I, we had purchased a home that was too big for our family. We had 2 cars, so we had a house payment, 2 car payments. We both worked in town, so our cars never left the driveway. My husband was always home working out of his gym because we have a home gym and that's what he does. And I had my private practice that was just down the alleyway that I walked to or biked to. And I only went there 2 days a week, so I was home the rest of the days. And we were still feeling very stressed because of all the overhead. We had too much money going out for the lifestyle we wanted to live. So when we asked ourselves what would be our best typical Tuesday, like what would it look like, we realized really quick that we needed to lower our stress levels. So there was a lot of things that was causing us unnecessary stress. Money and taking care of a lot of stuff, like the house, cleaning the house every week was really annoying to me because we only used like a quarter of it, but you still have to clean everything. And it really upset me because I'm wasting my life cleaning this house that we don't even use. Like, it's just too much space. So that was my big annoyance, and it stressed me out. And his annoyance was all the money going out to support this lifestyle that we didn't even want. Like, this didn't feel like the life we planned to have. And it's like we just got sucked into the idea of what you needed to do. Like, you get married, you get the house, the kids, the cars, all that stuff. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, now I'm strapped with all this debt and I have to just continuously work harder and harder and harder. And we were in that cycle. So we decided, in order to have our best typical Tuesday most days, we needed to downsize. And don't worry, I'm going to take you into the granular level. I'm going to be hiding my hands, and I don't mean to, but in my it is insulated now. We just recently insulated it. However, I don't have any heat on right now because the sound, my little electric fireplace I have off, so my fingers are getting cold. In our best typical Tuesday, we'll get granular and I will teach you how to do this. But we decided to downsize our material possessions by 2/3. We sold the house and we gave away and sold the vehicles and gave away like a lot of our belongings. So by 2/3, that's a lot. So we didn't downsize by 1/3. We downsized our material life by 2/3. And what prompted this is, so we lived over just by the golf course. And then I was driving by, and the very first house that I fell in love with in our beautiful community of New Prague on Main Street 15 years ago, but we ended up moving into a different home because it was right on Main Street and we had a brand new baby and we just couldn't have children on a busy road. It was for sale. And so I was driving to the grocery store and I was coming back and I was like, holy crap, it's for sale. And I went home. I didn't say anything to my husband. And I was because we'd already had the talk about the best typical Tuesday, like what would our life be like? and I was raking the yard, and I swear, I don't know if you believe in visions or visits from people that have already passed, but I swear I had this out-of-body experience where my dad, who has passed, just played this movie in my head of how everything would lock into place if we downsized and just sold everything and moved into this particular home. And I've never stepped foot in it. I didn't know how it would feel. I had no idea. And it just hit me so hard in that moment. I dropped the rake. I went into my computer to see what it was even listed at. And it turned out in 2 hours, it was going to be an open house that day. So I went, I told my husband, this is what just happened to me in the front yard. We should go look at this house. I feel like this would be our answer to getting our best typical Tuesday most days. So we came, we saw, we fell in love with it. It just felt like that childhood experience when you're at grandma's house. That's how it felt. We just felt nostalgic and cozy and happy. Like, this house has the best juju I've ever felt in a home in my life. And so right away we contacted our realtor, shout out to Marlene Muschitz, and we got it all set up and we bought it. And we downsized, and ever since then, so we've been in here for, maybe this will be our 8th Christmas, maybe our 9th Christmas. But because we did that, we made that choice, we're going to have sirens. Remember on the first episode when I explained to you that sometimes we're going to have sirens? Whenever I hear a siren, I always say a prayer because someone's life is about to change, like in one way or another. Okay, so where was I? Moving into this house, we had to establish a lot of boundaries. We had to establish boundaries around how much stuff we could bring into our home, because we went from a very big home to a home that's 972 square feet. Doesn't have like a full basement. Like, it's considered a crawl space because it's not 6 feet. So you have boundaries around stuff. You have boundaries around finances, because our lifestyle, we wanted to have a low stress lifestyle. That means we don't want to have a lot of money going out. And we also don't want to work all the time. Our idea when we dated was that we would live like we're retired now versus someday, because my dad never made it to retirement, so that was just our plan all along. And so in order to set up our best typical Tuesday where we could walk randomly together, we could go on trips and everything, we needed to have lots of boundaries, stuff boundaries, financial boundaries, commitment boundaries to bind us to certain locations and time when we wanted to have freedom. And we did it. And we did it all, and we're so happy. Because of this choice, we've made so many memories as a family. We've had countless hours and hours and hours of time together that normally, like, we would be working instead to pay for all of our stuff. But instead, because everything is so condensed, we have one vehicle, one house, obviously just one house, but like one house payment, one vehicle that's paid off. But do you know what I mean? Like, we downsized everything so that we'd have so much more time to savor together, that's our value, and no stress or low stress. And it was all because we asked our question, what would be your best typical Tuesday? And that's what we're going to do today. So now I'm going to give you an example. So that's what led to my favorite place in the whole wide world, this porch in this house on a very busy road. And that's why I wanted to share that with you. That's why I'm in this room instead of doing this at my private practice, is because this place is so special to me. Because it's given me so many memories with my family, that's my value. Okay. Back to how we were going to start this episode, and then I had this wild hair of just diving right in and telling you my whole thing. is I want to tell you about Nicole and Charlie. I asked them this very same question because they came in and they were just two shells of who they once were. When they first met, they were super active, outside all the time, trying new things, rock climbing, playing with their dogs, hiking. They were never ones to just sit in front of the screen or always on the go in terms of a schedule. They were more on the go on adventures and quality time. So everything that they did was always together or with friends, but they were having fun, enjoying life, and being physically active. Well, that was 12 years before I got to meet them. And then once I met them, they had 3 daughters, one that still shared the same bed, so their youngest still slept with them. They all had extracurricular activities. One was in speech therapy, but they had dance. And if you know anything about dance clubs or competitions or academies, maybe, it's very demanding. So they had tons and tons on their plate. Plus Nicole's father had a stroke 6 months prior. And so running him to appointments, making sure she kind of watched out for his home help and anything he might need over there. They were constantly running at night, not spending time together, and they just felt like they not only were they not a couple anymore, they didn't know who they were themselves. Like they just were nothing, like they couldn't even recognize themselves when they looked in the mirror, kind of thing. And so they came in and they're just like, this is not the life we thought we were going to live, and we need to figure something out. And so they came in to mainly strategize and to see, like, what are we doing wrong here? And so I asked them, what would be your best typical Tuesday? So this is a day you still got to get up, the alarm goes off, you still got to get up, you have to take the dogs out to go to the bathroom, put in the load of laundry, get the kids ready, take them to daycare, take them to school, go to work, run them to soccer. You still have to do all the things. You're not on vacation. And at the end of the day, after all that's done, something is different about today that you lay your head down on your pillow at night and you think, man, that was a good day. What a good Tuesday. And you're happy. You kind of like go to sleep with a smile on your face, right? I asked them what would have to happen in your day that you already have to, all your adult responsibilities still have to happen. What would have to also happen for you to feel like it was a really good day? And they fought me on it. It was really hard. They had been disconnected from who they were as individuals. They've been disconnected from who they were as a couple, just like dreaming again. They were both in demanding careers. They had been disconnected from just feeling good for so long. It took them a while. And then finally Charlie said, I would start my day with just Nicole sitting at our kitchen island that we built with our own hands and share a cup of coffee and just talk before the girls got up. And Nicole kind of laughed because obviously their daughter still sleeps in bed, so that, put a wrench in things because she gets up right with them. And she goes, okay, fine. Since we're dreaming, I would go for a walk with Buster the dog before I start breakfast. And he goes, okay. I would start running again in the mornings. Like if we could have our choice, that's what I would do. I would start running before I went into the office. And she's like, okay. I would want us to start walking like we were going to at lunch hour because their offices in town are actually pretty close together. And so they had this fantasy that because they were so close, they could get lunch together and go for a walk because they love to be active. And they never did. They ended up just taking work meetings. They went on to talk about how after dinner, they would do something active as a family and then, wind down together after the girls are in bed. And they're like, yeah, that would make me lay my head down at night thinking it was a really good day. Do you see how simple, like the things that they were asking, it wasn't, I would have like a better job. I would go on more trips. I would buy myself something gigantic. It was a simple cup of coffee, uninterrupted, just with my wife. It was a 10 to 20 minute walk with our dog. It was maybe a joined walk after a lunch with my partner. Family time. That's all they wanted. And they both understood that would make us feel really good. And so I said, okay, now is the fun part where we just have to implement boundaries to support these pockets of time. And they're like, good luck, right? And this is what they did. They immediately started sleep training their youngest daughter, Sophia. So they immediately started sleep training her. And then Sophia actually showered in the morning, which prevented Nicole from going on that walk. And so how their days went now is Sophia would sleep in her bed after this took about 4 to 6 weeks for everything to go set into place. Sophia slept in her bed, showered the night before. That allowed them to get up, share their cup of coffee. Nicole would go on her walk. While she was on her walk, Charlie would start breakfast, get the girls rolling. Then Nicole would take the girls to school and daycare. Charlie would go for his run. 3 days out of the week, they started meeting for lunch and a walk. And then at night, they would have a family dinner when they weren't running, because they were trying to finish up their commitments. And then on the days that they weren't doing that, then Nicole would go over and check on her dad. One thing that Nicole also did was she brought in her aunt to help support her dad, because she had volunteered to help take him to appointments, but she just didn't take her up on that offer, and the commitments piece. So the girls were all in sports already and in other extracurriculars, not just dance. And so what they did is they talked as a family, and they agreed we all function better when we can have family time. And they decided to get through the season, but then once they're done with the season, that they were going to reassess the following year to see if there was a different type of dance that wasn't as rigorous or demanding on their schedules, and only allow one extracurricular per child, and also look at carpooling like strategies so they could still have family time some of the nights or most of the nights rather than none of the nights. I think that's it for them. But do you see how, by asking yourself, what would be my best typical Tuesday, all the normal adult things I have to do, I'm not on vacation, but still at the end of the day, I lay my head down and I feel like I've lived a really good day. Help them identify what their values are, which is really quality time and health habits, right? Yeah, quality time, health habits, family, and being together as a couple. And then once they could see that, then they were able to set boundaries in place to support that lifestyle. And so that's a very granular look at this exercise. Then I started with the bigger picture, because my husband and I asked ourselves that question, and then we just went all in, because I just needed things to change, because I didn't like the way that we were going. But just think of how good Nicole and Charlie felt once they started implementing their own plan. Before we move on, I want to make sure I highlight the boundaries piece for Nicole and Charlie so that you understand that's exactly what's supporting their day. So when they looked at their best typical Tuesday, they needed to have boundaries around who sleeps in their bed in order to have that morning cup of coffee, boundaries around their morning time so that they both got their exercise or their time in outside and took care of their family. So boundaries around the health habits, boundaries around not accepting work meetings over the lunch hour, boundaries around not thinking everything always falls on you, so delegating to her aunt, and then also boundaries around how many sports that they were signing their kids up for. So boundaries are the answer to almost everything. It's so great. Okay, we're not going to do another exercise right now. I'm actually going to take you through it because I want to make sure I get this done today. And my husband and I have to have a boundary around this, right? Because my husband and I are going to work out at 11:30, and that means I have 15 minutes to wrap this up. take out your pen and piece of paper. Remember, no passive podcast listeners, I want you to be active. So take out a pen and piece of paper. And I want you to imagine, now it's you and me, just sitting together, and I want you to ask yourself, if I just lived my best typical Tuesday, I had to do all the things still, laundry, shuttle the kids, work, all my adult responsibilities, but yet I laid my head down on my pillow tonight, and I had this kind of smirk on my face, like, God, very satisfying. It was a really good Tuesday. It was a really good day today. In order for you to feel that satisfaction, to feel that contentment as you're laying down, ready to drift off into sleep, what had to happen today? What pockets sprinkled throughout your day that fill you with joy, what had to be there for you to be like, yeah, it's amazing. It was a good day. I want you to start with the moment you open your eyes till the moment that we're right now, we're in bed, like reflecting back on how the day went. So just to kind of help you get your wheels spinning. Did you have quiet time in the morning, like with your cup of coffee by your Christmas tree that may or may not be up on November 2nd? Did you stop the scroll and did you go for a stroll? Did you get up and move your body? Were you able to have family dinner? Did you get the family all settled down and then go have a walk with your significant other? Did you read a book instead of doom scrolling in your bed? What happened in your day? Did you call a friend on the way home from work and feel that connection, building that relationship? What had to happen today for you to feel so good? So I want you to pause the video. I'll be here. And I want you to write at the top of your sheet of paper, my best typical Tuesday would look like, and then just start filling it out, starting from the moment your eyes open. Okay. Now that you know what needs to be included in your day for you to feel like, it was a really good day today, you know exactly what your values are. Because within those, just sprinkles of time throughout your day, or the confetti sprinkled all over your day, you can see you value quality time, you value personal time, that quiet morning, you value relationships, you value talking with your friends. There's stuff in there you value snuggling with your puppy, you value holding your cat while you read. There's stuff in there that now you have to look at it and say, what boundaries would I need to set to protect each pocket of time that is sprinkled throughout my day? So everything that made me feel so good at the end of the day, what boundaries do I need to set in place to protect that time? So I'm just going to go through the examples. So for your quiet morning, maybe you need to set a boundary. I go to bed a little bit earlier at night so that I can get up 15 minutes before everybody else, so that I have that time with my coffee and my candle and my Christmas tree, right? That was me this morning. I was just like, I'm living the best life ever. Maybe it is, so if you're trying to skip your scroll and you want to go on a stroll and you want to walk during lunch, maybe it's setting a boundary where you have an accountability partner, like you ask a coworker to go with you. And instead of going on your phone, you're just like, hey, Bonnie, do you want to walk around the pond with me? Like, let's just go. And now you have an accountability partner and you guys keep each other off your phones and off your business meetings or your projects, and you get up and you move your bodies. Fun fact, 10 minutes a day walking at a pace that you're late lowers any cardiac incidents, so your risk of getting a heart disease, and it also lowers your risk of Alzheimer's. So 10 minutes a day, now that's all they're saying. That's crazy. Everyone has 10 minutes a day, walk like you're late, and that is, just imagine you need to catch an airplane. Everybody knows that feeling. We walk really fast then. Let's say you had family dinner. What boundaries do you need to set in place so that you have that time? It's probably extracurricular activities, whether you have committees that you're committed to or your kids are in sports. So then you have to think, what boundaries do I have to set in place so we can have more family dinners? Is it ride sharing, so carpooling? Is it limiting the amount of sports they can sign up for? Something there has to have a boundary so that you guys get that family, like quality family time. And walking with your partner. So let's say this was one of your pockets of time. You walked with your partner after the house got all settled down. A boundary would be, I'm not going to start, like we'll clean up, instead of, let's say you don't go for the walk because you're so busy cleaning up after dinner that by the time you get done with dinner, you're just tired and you want to sit down and Netflix. I would say everybody helps clean up after dinner, takes 5-10 minutes, we get that done, and then we go on our walk. So just set a boundary around, I don't do everything on my own. The family as a collective, we all do it together. Everyone does their part, we contribute, and then we go on a walk. Okay, hopefully you're seeing how amazingly simple it is to feel like you're living your best life, and it's not, going on crazy vacations all the time. It's literally setting boundaries around pockets of time that bring us joy, and those boundaries support that life. Okay, I'm not going to do, let's see, I'm trying to think if I should do another example. Yeah, this is a good example. I think a lot of you will relate to Sarah. So Sarah is another client. She had a very stressful career, a demanding boss. He overly relied on her, and she allowed it. And then she had a husband that had taken a back seat. And he took a back seat to raising the girls or their kids because Sarah told him to. Because she had this story like, I have to do everything. So she kind of had anxiety, so she had control. That's how she managed her anxiety, was controlling everything. And she wanted to do everything, but it burnt her out. And so it started to impact her health, impact her sleep, because she just had too much on her plate. Hence, that's why she came in. And she also had a mom that was on kidney dialysis, was a recent widow, and needed a lot from Sarah as well. So she had a demanding boss, took care of everything at home, told her husband, I'll do it my way. And then she also had a mom that needed a lot from her. So a lot was weighing on her. Her health was starting to deteriorate because she wasn't sleeping well. And she comes in, and we walked through her best typical Tuesday. And what she said was, because she loved to read. That was just her thing. She loved to get lost in a book. But now she wakes up in the morning, starts laundry, starts cleaning the house, just immediately making lunch for the girls. Like, it was just work, work, work from the moment she opened her eyes. It was just to-do list. And so no pleasure. So I said, okay, let's stop thinking about all the things that you have to do, and let's start thinking about your best typical Tuesday. And so she started back over, and she said, I would read in the morning just for a little bit with my coffee before everyone got up. And then she said she used to be part of this painting group. They just met twice a month, but instead now she takes her daughter to piano lessons, and she misses that group because it was a good creative outlet, plus the friendships. And she absolutely loves walking with her husband at night with their dogs. But now instead she goes and sits with her mom because she doesn't want her mom to be alone. And just the idea of her being across town alone breaks her heart, and it's too stressful. So she gave up walking to go be with her mom. But she said, I would get back to walking with my husband. So she would read in the morning, she would get back to painting, and then she would walk in the evening with her husband and their dogs. That would be a day that she would lay her head down at night thinking it's a really good day. So this is what we came up in terms of boundaries that she needs to help her support that vision. the last thing that she did, I forgot to tell you, is once her kids and husband went to bed, she worked till 11 o'clock and midnight every night because of that demanding boss. She had so many projects. It's probably loud. A guy drives by almost every day at this time. Oh, I got 4 minutes to finish up. So she also stayed up way late working. Okay, so what we decided was that she would read for 15 minutes before she started laundry. So the boundary was I'll get up 15 minutes earlier, read my book, have my coffee, then I can start laundry and tidying up. Next, she went back to painting, her painting group twice a month, and she had her husband drive her daughter to piano lessons. She decided on the days, her mom had dialysis 2 days a week. On those days, she would just stay with her mom, make dinner, and visit until a little bit after 7, and then she would go home and be with her family. On the days that weren't dialysis days, she had her mom come and babysit the kids. Even though they were old enough and they didn't need it, her mom would just come and be with the kids so that her and her husband could go for their walks. Then she had a meeting with her boss and her team and figured out what could be delegated, and she would not allow herself to stay up past when her husband went to bed. She went to bed with him, and that forced her to stay accountable to delegating. So the boundaries that she set in place were I had to get to bed on time so then I can wake up earlier to have that morning time and read. Boundaries around not taking on everything, like everything all falls on me, by allowing her husband to take her daughter to piano lessons so she got back into painting. And then boundaries around how much she gave to her mom. So she would be over there 2 days a week, but then the other days, mom would come babysit the kids so then she could go walk with her husband. So, and then obviously boundaries around delegation, so she didn't stay up past bedtime working. Boundaries, 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 boundaries. Then supported her best typical Tuesday. So again, boundaries fix almost everything. It's incredible. All right, I gotta go fast because my boundary is I can't miss my workout with my man. Okay, so I'm just skipping because I had one more example, but we're not gonna do that. Now this is weird because I've already recorded episode 3, so I have to think about this. Like how I end this, because I'm trying to say like, and now I'm going to talk about this or whatever. Okay. I hope, first of all, I hope my story, my bigger story of like when my husband and I asked the question, what would be our best typical Tuesday, how we blew it up and downsized our life so that we had boundaries to support the life that we wanted to live and have lived now for 8 amazing years. And then how our story, how Charlie and Nicole's story, and how Sarah's story, hopefully you can relate to something. And if you have, please comment below. Like what popped out at you? What did you really grab out of this today? And hopefully you realize how simple it is to make little tweaks, to use boundaries to then protect what's important to us. And it's always just those small things that bring us joy that make us feel like we're living a good life. Remember that. It's the smallest things that make us feel like we're living a good life. It's not huge trips, fancy cars, Hermes bags. It's not that. Tune in the next episode. We are busting the top 5 boundary myths. You will not want to miss this one. It is really good. I know this because I've already recorded it. It is really good. We have personal stories, we have scripts, and so definitely make sure you bring a notebook and a pen. And until we meet again, friend, make sure you mind your boundaries.